Could mayonnaise guide you through important life decisions or help you pick winning lotto numbers? Perhaps it could at least help you land a voiceover role in a kid's cartoon. As befitting a company that's as versatile as mayonnaise itself, the range of products made by Kraft Heinz is almost incomprehensible. It's only logical that the food giant, which produces varied items ranging from Velveeta to Capri Sun, would have mayonnaise offerings that extend well beyond its classic flavor. In fact, as of 2022, Kraft Heinz sold more than 25 kinds of mayonnaise products according to its website. While many of these are simply different-sized bottles of the same flavor, there's still a fair selection of mayonnaise varieties available to curious consumers. If you're interested in a low-fat version of Kraft Mayo, the company has you covered. Do you prefer a mayonnaise that includes olive oil or avocado oil in its ingredient list? Or one with garlic-infused taste? Kraft Heinz has what you need. The company never seems satisfied with its offerings, though, and continuously seeks to improve what's available to customers. This included the introduction of Heinz Real Mayonnaise in 2018, which highlighted its use of cage-free eggs in its recipe. Depending on your general love of mayonnaise, you may or may not have a preferred brand. For those who feel that mayo is mayo and believe it shouldn't drastically alter the flavor of what you add it to, the difference between brands is likely negligible. But for some, including the purveyors of Kraft Mayonnaise, the type you use does, in fact, matter. Hence the decision by Kraft to advertise its product as the Mayo of Mayonnaise in a series of ads from April 2021. This was the first collaboration between advertising agency Wieden & Kennedy and Kraft Mayonnaise. The commercials don't shy away from the not-so-secret fact that some folks simply don't like mayonnaise. Rather than attempt to woo the anti-mayo crowd, though, Kraft decided to go in the opposite direction. The company appealed to certified mayo fans by highlighting its product's creaminess and including beauty shots of food slathered with what might be described as an uncomfortable amount of mayo. It's impossible to tell based on available data in 2022 whether the advertising strategy translated to increased sales. But as an attempt to up the brand's visibility to consumers, it's easy to imagine the ad campaign did the trick. Fan contests are a surefire marketing technique for promoting consumer engagement. With this in mind, Kraft held a contest in 2021 that gave customers an opportunity to win a Mayodorsement from the company and a $10,000 signing bonus. Beginning with an initial Mayodorsement given to Clint Thrasher, a person dubbed Mayo Man after he was seen eating a tub of mayonnaise at a baseball game in 2019. The contest asked genuine mayo lovers to display their passion on social media. To win prizes that included a billboard, print ad, and a custom-made mayonnaise jar with the winner's face, fans were encouraged to concoct a unique post demonstrating why their mayonnaise fandom was superior to all others. The hullabaloo regarding a potential Mayodorsement for mayonnaise superfans prompted strong participation. In June 2021, Nebraska man Nicholas Walker was crowned the winner, earning his place in the Kraft Mayonnaise pantheon. Kraft Mayonnaise has taken a uniquely humorous approach to its advertising philosophy in recent years, and one move made us think that the company's executives might be big fans of the sitcom Friends. When Kraft announced the decision to stop production of fat-free mayo with a Mayo culpa in 2021, it was hard not to think of Monica Geller derisively declaring that low-fat mayonnaise is not mayonnaise. Actually, it's entirely possible that this Mayo culpa wasn't inspired by the classic 90s series. After all, while the company stopped making fat-free mayo, it still sells low-fat mayonnaise varieties. And there were no winking references to the show contained in the social media posts that informed the public it was no longer going to manufacture its fat-free product. In a statement to Today, Kraft Mayonnaise plainly conceded that fat-free mayo wasn't a very tasty product. In other words, it's quite likely the decision to nix the item was a result of dissatisfied customers and not pop cultural influence. But it's fun to imagine otherwise, isn't it? Few foods are as simultaneously beloved and controversial as mayonnaise. With its gelatinous, not quite solid or liquid consistency, the impossible-to-categorize nature of mayo creates a textural nightmare for some.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
And the sheer fact that it's basically spreadable fat can turn certain people's stomachs. For those whose dislike of mayonnaise had shifted into true fear, Kraft was willing to help in 2021 by offering Overcoming Mayophobia kits. While some may simply be disgusted by anything mayonnaise related, others, at least according to Kraft, have a real phobia of the condiment. Naturally, the overarching goal of Kraft's Overcoming Mayophobia kits was to court new customers. As Danielle Cooper-Smith, brand manager for sandwich enhancers at Kraft Heinz, said at the time, "There are two types of people in this world: people who love Kraft Mayo and people who don't know they love Kraft Mayo." For some consumers, mayonnaise is simply a creamy, weirdly lard-like product that's there to provide an unobtrusive moisture to your sandwich or recipe. For others, though, only one specific type of mayonnaise will do. This could be why Kraft Mayonnaise attempts to distinguish itself with a unique flavor profile among popular mayo brands. Perhaps inspired by the well-known tangy zip of its sister condiment spread, Miracle Whip, Kraft Mayonnaise doesn't taste the same as any other run-of-the-mill mayo variety. With notable hints of garlic and onion, Kraft Mayo is often the preferred brand used by recipe developers, according to a 2020 Mayo taste test by the Los Angeles Times. For some, the distinctive taste found in Kraft Mayo may be unappetizing. But if you're eager to incorporate a mayonnaise that brings more to the table than just emulsified oil and eggs, a jar of Kraft Mayonnaise may do the trick. We know Miracle Whip is not technically mayonnaise because its oil content falls below the threshold to be legally labeled as mayo. But it still seems fair to lump Miracle Whip and Kraft Mayonnaise together as a pair of similar products, given that they're used for the same applications. Of course, the difference in flavor between them means consumers are often partial to one over the other. And as recently as 2016, more Americans preferred Miracle Whip to Kraft Mayonnaise across the nation.
You just got Kraft pumped.
This wasn't the first time it edged out Kraft Mayo with consumers, as Miracle Whip also had higher total sales in 2010, according to the New York Post. Perhaps the unique flavor differentiating Miracle Whip from regular mayonnaise has helped it earn a more loyal, hardcore fan base. The fact that it contains about half as many calories and fat as regular mayonnaise almost certainly increases the appeal for some consumers too, though no one would ever call Miracle Whip a healthy food. While Miracle Whip almost surely has more passionate fans in its corner, as well as some detractors given that it's not actually mayonnaise, it's not the oldest mayonnaise-type product sold by the company. That distinction belongs to the classic Kraft Mayonnaise, which was first sold in 1926, several years before Miracle Whip's debut at the 1933 World's Fair. Interestingly enough, there isn't a lot of verifiable information out there regarding the origin of Kraft Mayonnaise, but the history of Miracle Whip is front and center on the company's website. Perhaps people are less interested in the origins of standard mayo than the tangy, zippy, slightly mysterious Miracle Whip. There's no denying the state of the COVID-19 pandemic has changed drastically since it first began in March 2020. The previously unimaginable need for social distancing and personal isolation at the time meant more of us were eating and therefore cooking at home than ever before. Consequently, consumers stocked up on food supplies designed to last them an indefinite amount of time, leading many companies, like Kraft Heinz, to increase production to meet demand, according to the Chicago Tribune. It wasn't just Kraft Mayonnaise that saw a boost in manufacturing in April 2020, as production of Miracle Whip, macaroni and cheese, and other Kraft Heinz items also increased at its Champaign, Illinois plant. This makes sense, of course, considering shoppers' impulse to stock up on shelf-stable foods during that time. There was no real end in sight to the stay-at-home orders during the early portion of the pandemic, after all, so preparing for the long haul was seen by many as the only option. The specific sales numbers for Kraft Mayo during that initial uncertain time period aren't readily available. But considering that the uptick in production coincided with a 70% increase in household penetration of Kraft Heinz products in the US by September 2020, it seems likely Kraft Mayonnaise helped boost the company's bottom line that year. In 2021, Kraft Heinz did a promotion that took advantage of the enduring appeal of gaining insight into one's future. Rather than reading tea leaves, however, it tapped comedian David Ebert to become the world's first mayo reader, as in using mayonnaise to read people's fortunes. Kraft's decision to offer mayo readings was conceived in conjunction with the planet Mercury going into retrograde in May 2021. As Kraft Real Mayo brand manager Francis Sabatier said at the time, Kraft Mayo is also all about standing up for love of mayo and other things that might be seen as polarizing. That's why we're diving headfirst into the controversial cultural debate around astrology with the introduction of Mayo readings. From May 19th to May 26th of that year, fans could share pictures of Kraft Mayonnaise on the company's social media accounts and have their fortunes read. Of course, it's highly unlikely anyone's future was accurately predicted by the patterns of their mayonnaise swipes on bread. But if the company's own Mayo reading predicted the campaign would drum up more conversation around the brand, we'd have to say that came true. If you grew up during the 90s, you more than likely caught at least a few episodes of Nickelodeon's Doug. Of course, even the world's biggest Doug fans may not know that Patti's last name has an interesting connection to the career of the person who voiced her. A series of Kraft Mayonnaise commercials from the 80s and 90s featured the character's voice actor, Constance Schulman. Although you might think that the Kraft connection was the reason her last name was Mayonnaise, according to Schulman herself, the fact that she appeared in several Kraft Mayo commercials just before her iconic role as Patti Mayonnaise was little more than an amusing coincidence.
Yes, hold the mayo.
Either way, the serendipitous nature of a former mayonnaise spokesperson voicing a character with the surname Mayonnaise is a delightful discovery. Whether or not Schulman's prior professional credits prompted the classic cartoon's creators to name the character Patti Mayonnaise doesn't matter, of course. The legacy of Doug is undeniable, just like the reputation of Kraft Mayonnaise. Is there any advertising strategy more disingenuous than the notion that a mass-produced item is freshly made? After all, the simple fact that a product is packaged, shipped, and then sold negates any claim that it could have been prepared fresh. That didn't stop Kraft Mayonnaise from describing itself as kitchen fresh during its first few decades in existence, however. Now, it may not have been entirely accurate for Kraft to state that its product was as genuinely fresh as mayonnaise prepared at home, yet, as one 1933 print ad shows, the tagline may not have been meant literally, but rather as a way to distinguish itself as fresher tasting than other mayo brands. The exact timeline of Kraft's shift away from the kitchen fresh promise isn't entirely clear, but with at least one vintage Kraft Mayo ad showing the tagline was still being used in 1958, it seems as though the company rode that advertising train as far as it could.